Welcome to the Movies and Stuff podcast, everybody. I'm Abe. I'm unarmed, but I'm not alone. Joining me is my co-host, Dan. And together we'll be talking about Point Break. And later on, we'll be joined by the writer of Point Break, Peter Iliff. So, Point Break is one of the cheesiest action flicks ever. A cliched bromance of one-dimensional characters held together with a screenplay that's bursting with cliches that tiptoes right up to the line of so bad it's good. Or Point Break is a masterfully done action film. It's a glorious display of violence, passion, philosophy, and characters. And its place as an enduring cult classic is well earned. Yeah, or maybe it's both of those things. All right, Dan. When did you first see Point Break? What'd you think?
Geez, yeah, I probably saw it as soon as it came out on VHS. You know, so early 90s. Yeah, I didn't see it in theaters, but I saw it, VHS. I loved it. I was a sucker for it. I watched it numerous times on VHS. It was a fun movie. I liked so much of it, early 90s. I was a fan of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, so it was kind of cool to see Anthony Kiedis in there. And the horrifying him getting shot in the foot. Oh, that made me gagged when I was younger. Just so horrible. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed it when I first saw it, and I watched it multiple times over the years.
Yeah, I was the same way. Loved it when I first saw it. Okay, so let's fast forward to now. You rewatched it for the show. What do you think now?
Going into it, man, I was terrified. I was thinking that this movie's gonna age. It's just not going to be as good anymore. I was almost dreading watching it because I thought it was just not going to hold up. I was surprised. I really enjoyed it. I still enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun time. Now, you were saying that it's either the cheesiest action film or a masterfully done action film. I personally think it's somewhere in the middle. I think it's somewhere in the middle. There's a cheese factor in it. It's endearing, though. I don't fault it for the cheese. But there's some great action sequences in there, man. I mean, just sensational action. I mean, just to start off, that opening bank robbery is just masterfully done. That is a skilled filmmaker at work right there in that opening bank robbery. The precision of how that scene was made is on par with the precision of how the robbery is admired in the movie. When they're talking about the robbery after the fact and saying how precise it was. That's how good the scene was. You got that scene. You got, the raid on the drug dealer's house. The ones that they think are originally the bank robbers.
Yes.
That raid scene is fantastic.
That is fantastic. And that lawnmower part.
So good, man. So good. And you got Keanu getting beaten up by a naked woman in that scene. You get Kiedis, as I mentioned, get shot in the foot. And at the very end of it, there's a couple of great moments. There's Gary Busey. We'll talk about Gary Busey a little bit later, but Keanu's just thrown up into the sink, and Gary Busey says to him, "It's these aren't paper targets, but it's no different. Just more to clean up." Awesome.
So awesome.
And then you got the great cameo by Tom Sizemore. Do you think I want to dress like this? My wife wants me to stay at a Motel 6 or something.
Nice tattoo.
It was, it was a really great cameo. It was a very reminiscent of him being in a Tarantino type film. So.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I totally got that true romance vibe coming right there.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So, man, I was surprised. I was not thinking that I was going to think highly of this movie.
I'm with you. In between way back when I saw it last, and now I'd kind of rewritten it in my head, I think, a little bit. I kind of blew it off as kind of I even called it a chick action flick one time on a different show on our site, and Sasha Pro Raver yelled at me. So
yeah, when did you rewatch it? It was a couple days ago?
Yeah, I rewatched it just a couple days ago. It looks fantastic on high def too.
I did. I watched it on the waves. The water looks fantastic. It's so crisp in high def. I totally agree with you. And one of the things that really hasn't held up, unfortunately, is Lori Petty.
Yeah, we did talk about that.
We talked about that briefly, and she was on Orange is the New Black this past season, and she was fun. She had a fun character, and she's a fun actress. Like I won't say that she's a good actress, but she's fun. She's having fun.
Did you ever see? Totally, we're going off the rails completely. Did you ever watch Tank Girl?
I did watch Tank Girl. Yeah.
Is she any good in that? I never saw it.
I watched it back in the day. I was not fond of the movie. I was not fond of her.
I gotcha. Just...
not terrible. Just it wasn't my cup of beer. Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's start breaking it down a little bit. As Keanu Reeves was a former quarterback that led Ohio State to the Rose Bowl. I love talking about sports, so here we go. So far, I believe that Keanu Reeves could be a quarterback. He blew out his knee, and that ended any chance of his to have a pro career. Now, Dan, I don't know if you remember Willis McGahee. He blew out his knee in the Fiesta Bowl. He was playing for Miami. Mm-hmm. He blew out his knee against Ohio State. He went from a first-round pick just to a third-round pick.
Well, okay. Here you go, though. Back when this movie was made, an injury like that was just career-shattering.
Career-ending.
Career-ending. I think the surgeries have come a long way now, and the McGahee thing wasn't that long ago. Was it within the last 10 years?
Was it like 2006?
Yeah, it was within the last 10 years. It wasn't, like this movie was made in. This movie came out in 91, so it was made in 90. It was probably written in 88, 8 or 9. Someone blows out their knee, yeah, they're done. Their career's done. There's no surgeries. But I'll play along with you. So here he goes. Here he goes. He probably should have still made the NFL, we'll say.
Yeah, he could have been a late round pick. Just take a chance on him. Come on now. It wasn't like Joe Theismann blew out his knee.
He could have just played hockey instead.
Well, that's easy, Dan. Come on now.
Exactly. Hockey.
Yeah. You just skate around and crash into things.
I could do that.
We love you, Canada. All right, so whether or not that's implausible, we'll just skip over that. This is the part that is really difficult to swallow. Keanu blew out his knee. He joins the FBI and graduates in the top 2% at Quantico.
Why not?
You're still all in?
Sure.
It's hard to imagine.
All right.
As far as I can tell, the tests at Quantico are shooting at things in the rain and looking like a badass.
Oh my God, the first shot of Keanu though is kind of ridiculous. I gotta say, he's got the shotgun, and it's just I almost started laughing. I'm like, no. And of course, we've now seen him in The Matrix and like John Wick and all these awesome action movies where he's just a gun not being in his hand seems unnatural at this point. But like he's just standing there and he's got this derp face. I'm like, oh come on.
Yeah, but that's a good point you bring up. The Matrix and John Wick. We've definitely softened towards Keanu. I mean, if you remember those early days, it was just talking trash on his ability or his inability to act.
My former show did a whole podcast dedicated to Keanu's career, and we talked about his ups and downs. And I think the one that really killed him was Dracula. I know where the bastard sleeps. That
was harsh.
Terrible. And I think that's what we kind of like go to in his early career. And it's such an amazing career. So many ups and downs. And he's almost become like an elder statesman in a way, talking about like digital film and regular film. And it's mind-boggling to think about that. I think the hilarious thing is, and maybe when we talk to Iliff, we can try to get into this, is the fact is they had to do a reshoot of the ending. The
Yes.
fight scene on the beach with Patrick Swayze. But Keanu, this is months back. Keanu's now doing Bill and Ted. So when you see him at the end of the movie, it's Bill and Ted. Keanu.
Yeah.
He's got the long Bill and Ted hair.
Yeah.
And it definitely does not look like an FBI agent.
Well, he was on his way out at that point. Spoiler alert.
Oh.
Ooh, dang. So I do want to, I like being stupid, I guess, and pretending everything's a shared universe. Johnny Utah would have graduated right at the same time or maybe a year ahead of Clarice from Silence of the Lambs.
That's right.
So you need a crime solved. Are you calling Starling? Or are you calling Utah?
You know, how much do we credit Starling's abilities to Hannibal Lecter? Versus Utah kind of comes in, and he kind of gets it right away. Like, granted, it was Busey's idea, but who inspired Busey? It was Utah.
That's right.
The opposite can be said for Clarice. Clarice, you know, was given. I guess Clarice did inspire Hannibal in a way as well. I don't know. I would still call Clarice because I'm not fucking trusting my case to Johnny Utah. I'm sorry. His name is Johnny Utah.
Yes, but as soon as he got mooned, he put the whole thing together. He's like, I know that ass.
I've seen that. I've seen where that ass sleeps.
Oh God. As far as the characters go,
sorry, I'm still just thinking of Keanu solving a case by looking at an ass.
that's what it is. The whole thing hinged on that.
That sounds like an NYPD, you know, Dennis
no.
Franz, look at my ass. I solved the case. You know? Man, I'm gonna just like write a whole series of like movies that just get solved. The crimes get solved by looking at someone's ass. It's like, there it is. I know that ass. That's the person that did it. Oh man. Oh, all right. I've derailed us
Completely. Moving on.
How do you move on from an ass solving a crime? I don't know how you do it. If you think about it, you just blew my mind with this. He solves the crime by looking at an ass.
He
you
does.
are so right.
Yes.
Holy shit.
That's a master detective.
Oh my God. Wow. Amazing.
So Clarice, you stay home. I'm personally calling Utah.
Only if your crime involves an ass.
Okay. There's other characters too in this movie.
Are there?
Yeah, there's a couple others.
Okay.
And one that the movie really hinges upon is Bodhi.
Right. Absolutely.
Bodhi's I think he's a complex character here, especially for a bad guy. Well, a bad guy in quotes. He's obviously very new age. You know, he's picking up the energy of the waves and becoming one with the ocean. He believes that robbing banks are like giving a wake-up call to all the working stiffs out there, teaching them to be alive again.
I mean, that's that speech that he gives on the beach, where he's talking about the human spirit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost something right out of Fight Club. Like if you read that point. If you read that speech word for word, I mean, that is almost as if I'm hearing like Brad Pitt in Fight Club say it. Pretty amazing.
It is. Wow, I didn't ever think of that. That's an interesting point.
He could be Brad Pitt's father.
Yeah.
Bodhi is Jack's father. I am Jack's father.
Yeah, I don't know. Get married. But then Bodhi, on the flip side, all this new age stuff, he touts, Ronald Reagan philosophy, peace through strength. And then the second half of the movie, I don't know, Bodhi collapses, his philosophy falls apart, or he abandons his philosophy, or is all this, it's like some kind of big ploy to help wake up Johnny Utah himself? What do you think?
If it was never about the money, then why not donate the money after you stole it?
Agreed.
You know, it's him just trying to be this new age kind of fucking guy, and I'm sure that some of himself actually believes it. The whole have to riding that wave at the end. You know, I'm sure that some of it believes it, but all in all, like, they're robbing banks, they're taking money. You know, so I guess a part of him does become unhinged. I think the relationship with Johnny sours him a bit.
Sours him?
I think it sours him in a way. I think he you know, that scene, I think the scene that does it is outside the bank when Johnny says, "Freeze, FBI!" And, you know, one of the guys is about to shoot Johnny, and you just see Swayze just push the gun down. I think at that moment, like, his heart almost starts to break because he was embracing Johnny. I think part of him thought, he's going to join our gang. He's going to be one of the ex-presidents with us. He's going to be one of us.
Yes.
I think I've got him. He's going to be one of our brothers, you know? And at that point in time, I think there's like a little bit of a change. I think that's when his character starts to change. And then, you know, when he's at that, when he's on top of that fence and he's looking down at Utah, you know, blowing out his knee again, and those blue eyes are just staring down at Utah. Yeah, I think there's a hint of like sadness in there.
Oh,
you know?
I agree with that. Yeah.
And I think that caused Bodhi to kind of I won't say shift, but become more so towards the, okay, you know what? At this point, I'm just in it for myself. I'm out of here. I'm going to take the money. I'm going to find my wave, and that's it.
Yeah. At that point, Bodhi stops caring about the ex-presidents.
Yeah.
Seemingly.
Yeah. Oh,
he stops caring about civilians, police. I mean, everything.
He's done. He's done. He's all out for himself at that point.
Yeah.
And I think it's because he put his trust, because he had to put this trust in those guys to be able to do those robberies together. They were his brothers. Like, he considered them his brothers. One of them actually his brother?
I don't remember that dynamic.
Yeah, I think he just called someone his brother.
Yeah. Well, that's Surfer. They say man.
Yeah.
Dude. They say babes.
They do say babes.
Yeah, but that's an interesting point that you bring up, because there are people that are going to read into things or maybe read it correctly. I don't know. These guys are closer to each other than they are to the women in their lives too. This is the tightest knit group possible.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, you can say that about a lot of groups of guys in a way. And I think, you know, there is a bond between men.
Yeah.
Not to sound silly here, is, you know, I don't think my wife gets jealous of my friendships, but, you know, I got one buddy that I talk to about an hour a day on the phone. You know, we do. Yeah, we talk work. We talk, you know, TV. We BS with each other. He comes over once or twice a week, and we hang out. Like, there's a weird kind of like, you know, not bromance going on there, but there's a brotacular thing going on. And I think, you know, when you have this tight-knit bond between men, I do think there's this unspoken kind of, you know, link that, you know, even like a woman couldn't understand, you know? But it's totally different. You know, my wife is my best friend, and I love her, and it's a totally different, you know, but I'm not going to, you know, talk to her about how much I love eating chorizo.
Yes.
Like, that's a conversation I've had with a man, you know. It's
right.
like, hey, isn't chorizo awesome?
It is awesome. There's no doubt about it.
There is no doubt that chorizo is fantastic.
I used to live next to a Mexican diner, and they made chorizo omelets.
I think I've told you.
Dynamite.
A couple of summers ago, Chipotle had a chorizo bowl. They took it off the market because it didn't sell very well, but mostly because it was the most caloric item in any fast food restaurant. And they just re-released it in Kansas City, so you got to have one for me.
I will. I'll pour a little bit on the ground for you.
Nice.
Yeah. You know, and let's get Patrick Swayze.
How great was he in this movie?
He was great, yeah. He brings a really cool physicality to it with his stunts.
Not a huge Swayze fan, but I thought he was fantastic in this.
I thought so too. He's jumping out of an airplane.
That was him?
That was him.
Wow.
That's dedication.
That's awesome.
It is awesome.
That's really awesome.
Yeah, I can't think of a Patrick Swayze movie that I'm a big fan of, to be honest, other than this.
No.
I mean, Roadhouse is so bad it's good. Legit.
Not a fan, but...
Not a fan?
It's been a while since I've seen it, but...
Ghost? Ghost? No.
No.
If you are a ghost and you jump through walls, how do you land on the floor? You should fall through the floor. That's what I'm saying.
What was he? He was in Donnie Darko, right? That was him?
Oh, that's right.
He was good in Donnie Darko, I think.
He was good as... Yes.
Donnie Darko hasn't held up, I don't think, though.
It's too busy.
I think I loved it. I loved Donnie Darko, and I think it's shifted to... It's still a good movie, but it hasn't held up as much. But Swayze was great in it.
Yes, he was.
But yeah, I agree. But it's not like it was his movie. Like he wasn't the star in it.
He's the goddamn Antichrist.
I mean, I really can't think of. Did he even do much up until, like, he kind of faded, right?
He did.
Like I remember I actually saw this in like the Dollar Theater. This is so bad. I saw Tu Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar.
I saw that too on like VHS.
So it was him and Wesley Snipes and John Leguizamo as drag queens. And that was like 4 years after Point Break. I'm not a fan of Dirty Dancing. Sorry, people. I'm gonna put Baby in the corner. I'm gonna leave her there.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, Jesus Christ, Mystery Science Theater wrote a song just to make fun of him. I mean,
he was in Red Dawn.
Oh, that's true.
He was in Red Dawn. Red Dawn's pretty good one.
Yeah.
He was in The Outsiders.
No, I was not a fan of that. I'm sorry.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's okay.
Francis Ford Coppola? No?
Oh, yeah. Drop that name. What's he? He's just brilliant outside of The Godfather.
He makes good wine.
Does he?
Yeah. He's got a good winery.
Oh.
I'm kidding. I've never had his wine before. I do know that he makes wine.
After Crystal Skull vodka, I don't do celebrity alcohol
was
anymore.
that Dan Aykroyd?
Yes. Terrible.
Oh, man. But, yeah, no, Swayze was great in this. He did his own stunts. Really fantastic. And, also Gary Busey.
I loved Gary Busey.
Right.
I miss this slightly unhinged Busey as to the totally I've broken the hinges off the door and thrown him into the yard Busey.
Isn't his son the most creepiest man ever?
Yes. I mean, his son's ultimate role was that guy in Contact. Yeah,
yes. Just terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah. But, okay, Gary Busey, he is mocked through the whole movie for his theory about the surfers. But when he lays out the information, it makes sense.
It does.
He's got evidence to back it up.
He does.
I don't see why they're mocking him mercilessly. In 1991, were surfers just not something to be taken seriously?
It's quite possible. It's quite possible that that's what it was like. Oh, surfers. Huh, come on. They're idiots. It's quite possible that was what the FBI was thinking.
I don't know. Okay, so as far as inept law enforcement goes, shared universe again, who's dumber? FBI in Point Break, LA cops in Die Hard?
That's a close one, man. I mean, when did they actually believe something was bad was happening? Was when McClane threw a body onto a cop's car.
Yes.
I mean,
that was their first clue.
Like, oh, bad body. Felt, and even that point, they were like, oh, it's probably some guy got too lonely during the holidays, committed suicide.
It was a bartender in there that got, oh God. Yeah.
Pretty bad. Yeah. And, but I gotta say this though. I wish I could throw a dog at someone. that whole sequence of Swayze being chased by Keanu.
Yes.
It's like an amped up version of the Ferris Bueller ending. They're running through yards. They're running through people's houses. Like Keanu has to smash through a window, and he's getting hit by the woman. And then Swayze throws a dog at him.
Yeah. Any weapon you can get, man.
And then it culminates with the classic scene. Maybe we'll get into that in a little bit.
Yes, it does. Okay, so yeah, the true hero of this movie is Kathryn Bigelow. She elevates this material, I'm going to say, to the highest possible plateau. You couldn't do any better with this material than what she did.
I forgot she did it. I forgot she directed this movie.
Really?
It slipped my mind.
She is phenomenal.
But what's that say, though? What's that say? I forgot that a woman directed this film. Okay? And this is me saying that I just look at this film as a fun action film. Not as directed by a man, not directed as a woman. So I think I wish that's how it was. I wish that, it didn't matter if it was, she directed a kick-ass movie here.
Yes, she did. And as you pointed out, man, she has spatial relationships nailed. And that's something that apparently is incredibly hard to do. I've never directed action. But making sure the audience knows where everybody is and how they're moving in relation to each other. Like you pointed out, that bank robbery scene.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
So precise.
Yes. And the camera's flying around all over the place, and you know where everybody is at all times.
You don't get dizzy. You don't get sick. Well,
she actually took pains to make sure you didn't get sick.
Right.
That foot chase, they basically, modified a Steadicam into a pogo cam.
It's amazing.
What they called it. And because she said she didn't want, she said if we simply did handheld, you'd be throwing up in the audience. We'd be handing out barf bags.
I've seen movies where they've done just the handheld stuff, and I just, could not get through it.
It's horrible. But she does it brilliantly.
It's great.
Yeah. Is there a favorite action sequence you have? Is it the foot chase?
I think foot chase is my favorite action sequence. I mean, the house raid, as I mentioned, is a great start to finish, pure action. But that foot chase, and then, man, culminates with my favorite part of the film.
Yeah. Mostly
everyone's favorite part is Keanu shooting that gun up into the air.
It's so badass.
It's awesome.
Yes.
I mean, it's been spoofed. It's been kind of homaged. It's been talked about. But the cool thing about it is there's an actual pain going on in that character. He could have killed Swayze right there. Oh, he could have shot him. There's no doubt. Right through the head. Gone. But he doesn't, because he's hurt. Just as Swayze was hurt when he saw Utah, outside that bank. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Keanu. It was a true bromance right there.
It is. And I like that. You're right. There is some character development. People, especially at the time the movie came out, just talk shit on it. The critics. But there is some interesting.
No, there's good dynamics, and there really is some development. I especially Bodhi. Bodhi has some great character, good arc throughout the movie, but Keanu does grow.
He does. It's rare that an action movie where the hero grows and evolves simply because of his exposure to the bad guy.
Exactly. And one of the key parts of that is at the very end when Bodhi asks him, "Are you still surfing?"
Yes.
And he says, "Every day."
Yeah.
And he's got that one scene where he's floating with Lori. And she's like, "This is the first time that your face doesn't seem like you're thinking about something or just, lost in something." And it's like moments like that where you're like, he's turning into, I won't say a spiritual person, but almost a more enlightened person than he was.
No, you're right. He's having an awakening. Yes.
Yeah, right. I think there are these elements of it, and it really is a solid script. And you're right though, Bigelow just took the script and just nailed it and made it something special.
She did. All right. Anything else about Point Break you can think of?
Yeah, I try to do this every movie that we talk about. I'll talk a little bit about the box office real quick.
Oh, go.
So budget was $24 million.
Okay.
And in the U.S. it made $43.
Wow.
So not a huge hit in the U.S. No. And then the VHS rentals were significantly higher overseas as well. So not a huge hit. Wasn't especially when you got Patrick Swayze. And Keanu Reeves was a budding star too, so surprising. Another thing that I like to do is talk about the potential casting choices. First off, it should be thrown out here that originally Ridley Scott was going to do this movie.
Oh.
And they actually built sets for it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So when we talk to Peter, let's try to get some information on that. But apparently they built sets, and it shut down. So some of the people that were originally tied to it, Matthew Broderick as Johnny Utah.
Oh, no. Oh, that would be awful.
And then at the time, you think, what about Johnny Depp or Charlie Sheen?
I think those would both work.
At the time, I think Charlie Sheen would have been fantastic. I think he would have been perfect for it, I think, at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Then you have Val Kilmer turned down Johnny Utah, but I see of him more as a Bodie than a Johnny Utah.
You see him as a kind of a more zen, surfer.
Now I just see him as a very large man.
He still gets to work with Francis Ford Coppola.
Did you happen to see Life's Too Short?
No.
It's another one of those great Ricky Gervais shows, and Val Kilmer has such a great cameo in a couple of the episodes. It's so good. I cannot I think it's only like one season and then an hour-long special to wrap up the first season.
Oh, that's a Gervais.
That's a Gervais specialty right there. So funny though, so good. Anyway, the last one I'm going to throw out here for you, Willem Dafoe.
Really?
As Johnny Utah.
I can't even picture that on any level.
No, I can't either.
That just doesn't sound good.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all I got.
You could play Jesus, but not Johnny Utah. All right, everybody, we're going to take a quick break, and when we return, writer of Point Break, Peter Iliff.